Shall we get underway here?
Sure.
Call to order the Friday, April 25th, 2025 meeting of the Downtown Development Authority. Can we have a roll call, please? Oops.
Yeah,
Guess-
you could get
yeah.
the mics.
Guess I would have to put this on. All right,
Just give it 1 moment.
Wired it
Do the
up.
roll call. Shelley Jones. Danielle Huey.
Here.
Patricia Felton.
Here.
Bruce Cantor.
Here.
Alex Green.
Here.
Dan Sugg.
Here.
Mike Green.
Here.
Pam Schermeyer.
Here.
We have quorum.
Very good. Approval of the agenda.
We need a motion to excuse those that aren't here.
Yeah. Okay, we need a motion to excuse Charlotte Jones and
Fred
Brown.
Motion to excuse those not here.
Second.
Kelly's on her way?
Bruce Stone.
Oh, Bruce, okay, all right.
Okay.
Yeah, second.
Second.
Had motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nobody. All right. All right, so now let's look at that agenda. Has everybody had a chance to look it over? If so, we'll need a
Motion to approve the agenda.
Support.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, anybody opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to the minutes. These are the February minutes. Our March meeting was canceled after a lack of quorum.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes with one correction. Bruce Cantor was not at that meeting. He was
Okay.
in Colorado at the time.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure I was in
All right.
Colorado on that day.
Okay, we'll take his word for that. Do we have a second for approval of the minutes?
Support.
Okay, all right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion carries. And now we have the consent agenda. Anybody have any issues with the financial reports or monthly code enforcement before we,
I have some comments.
okay?
This is probably the third board I've been on, but the first board that is a municipal board, can't say that word too well today. And so it took me a minute to understand my role and how can I add value to the committee. And so first I want to give a little history about myself so you'll know my perspective, because where we come from affects our perspective and how we look at things. So I started off in administration at 27. And when I retired in 2012, I had been CEO of several healthcare facilities as the nursing director. I have managed budgets as small as $2 million to $39 million. And so my expertise is not necessarily finance, but it's really leadership and management. And so that's what I've done most of my career. And so I know I bring that expertise here, but also I understand budgeting. And so when I looked at the budget, I wanted to say kudos to the income statement as far as the assets and liabilities states that you manage very well. So kudos to that. However, I had questions. I would like to recommend when it comes to, I looked at this budget, this form, and I thought it was very good. However, I think you need to add a horizontal and a vertical review with percentages of those finance areas, because I think it'll help the committee have an accurate understanding of the present history. So I would recommend that being added to your financial statement.
For the expenditures and revenue?
Yes, to do a vertical and horizontal analysis with the percentages. When I look at the budget, and I have some comments, I wrote them down. It was like 2 weeks ago the light bulb went on, so excuse me. I thought the financial improvement for 25 was very good with regards, as I said earlier, your income statement. I did have some comments. I noticed, and our fiscal year is June to July each year.
Yep.
And so what I noticed was that we spent, and I'm just trying to find my notes, 56% of the budget was already spent, and I could be incorrect. But that's what, when I looked at comparison, that's what I saw. And I was wondering how is that gonna be corrected? Because we're in May now. So that's just something for you to look at.
And on these financial statements, there are some expenditures that were put into the wrong GL number. So they're going to be corrected and presented at next month's meeting. in
Okay.
May.
How soon before will we receive that report?
Hopefully a week in advance.
And then I still have a question about, and it's not that, it's only 1% of the budget, and that's the music festival. And I still don't understand what are the benefits in of the music festival. And am I looking at it incorrectly? Because I don't see any revenue coming in from that. I see more money going out.
We had a revenue of $10,000 last year.
Right.
Yep.
But
And-
does it,
Profit.
yes.
That was 10, it was
Oh, and our
10,000.
profit
Yeah.
was 10,000?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay.
Yeah, and I would add that the music festival wasn't put on to make money.
Okay,
It
that's
was
what I
put on
was
not to lose money, but it was put on to benefit the community and the Downtown Development Authority by bringing people that wouldn't normally be here into it and make aware of who's here.
Okay.
And showcase the city.
Okay.
Exactly.
And
But
that's
do
what
you
I
feel
was
like that was
wondering.
done, though?
I believe it's on the right track, sure. I think there is some value to the residents themselves that I think is goodwill from the DDA and puts the DDA district in a light that wouldn't normally be put in. So, as opposed to, as my grandpa used to say, half of nothing is nothing. So if you don't do anything, there is no goodwill at all, so.
In the history of the festival, this will be the third edition of it. And it was to get people to come together outside, because we were coming out of lockdown at that time during COVID. And a local pastor saw that we're still staying inside. We were not coming together as a community. And the goal of the festival is to get people out and to enjoy themselves. We have the food trucks, we have music, we have a bar, and we're adding a family area this year.
Okay.
So this is to bring people together.
Gotcha.
And then this is my second time with the planning of the festival. I kind of came in halfway last year. And there were some attempts to get the DDA businesses more involved, but we're taking a much stronger approach in getting the DDA involved. We're working with Oakland Thrive to get the businesses to have an understanding of the value they can have having a presence. And we've already had a number of businesses who've contacted us about having a booth at the festival, a vendor booth. But then also we are going to be contacting each of the businesses. So at the DDA booth, we can have products and services that they provide there to be presented to the visitors. But then also the goal is to have some products and maybe some gift certificates for services that could be provided that we would raffle off to those attending the festival, so that they can see all we have to offer here in Lathrup Village.
And one last thing, kudos for keeping your salary expense down.
Well,
So as far as the committee, do you have any business owners on the music festival committee?
No, but we would definitely welcome their input. Absolutely. We would like to have, that is something we're currently right now in the sponsorship phase. So we've been speaking with business owners, and we've actually had a decent number of small businesses in the DDA provide sponsorship dollars, of all ranging amount. And it's great to see. Even had businesses give us money, and they're like, oh, we don't need anything, to have their logo up. on our printed material and on our shirts. And it's like, no, we're going to absolutely do that for you. So, so far we've had a good response because over the last month and a half, businesses have been coming in to update their business licenses. And that's something that they've been spoken with about and informed that if they'd like to be involved, they can be involved in the sponsorship of the music festival. And then we're going to continue that conversation about how they can be involved on the day of.
So how many businesses that participated in the previous year are returning?
Well, we got Rita's coming back, and Rita's. Have you?
Yeah, I'm talking to Rita's.
And then hopefully Papa's will be coming back.
Yeah, I have a list of them.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you now. I'm
We do
waiting
have
to
an
hear
agenda
back
item
from
for
Fortune
this.
Dentistry,
Sorry?
Papa's Pizza,
We have
Scott
an
Baker's
agenda item for
involved,
this.
Michigan First.
Okay.
Um,
Well, we off rail a little bit then.
I had
That's
a
fine.
nice talk with Sakra today, the HR rep, which I wanted to talk to you about in my
Okay.
2 minutes. And
That'd be great.
about 53 people I've reached out to. So I'm in conversations with some people, and I've got promises from others. I just don't have the money yet. It's in works.
I think that the festival is a very great thing, and I won't even say good. I think it's great. I rather enjoy myself from attendee point of view. However, from the business side, as we discussed last year, it was not beneficial to the businesses that were there. I had a booth. Other businesses that I know in the area had a booth as well, and it was not beneficial. And what Patricia is, I'm gonna say this for you. Tell me if I'm incorrect.
Okay.
We don't really see a benefit for the businesses per se, and I feel like that should be in the forefront. And it's nice to have a hold-down and a party, but we are in the development district, and it's to highlight the businesses themselves. And the businesses are not getting highlighted because they're not making money, and people were not going over to the booths, and they made a little bit in comparison to what they paid or what we pay. However, it did not bring continued foot traffic into the businesses. And a lot of times, one thing I did notice about being here of my year, I was very quiet at first, but it seems as though when we speak up against certain things as the business owner, it's kind of just like, oh, okay, they're just not going with what the majority wants to do, when in actuality, we are the business owners and we are the ones that's affected. So it's not necessarily saying you guys are doing a bad job, it needs to be kinked a little bit. And if it was done in a more way where the businesses were at the forefront, I think you would have no issue with having businesses come back this year at all. I probably would have paid for my booth up front. And that just needs to be in fast consideration. So even like last night, the businesses and the residents are at the top of the food chain, not just the residents having a great time. Okay, so.
Also, can I address that actually?
Sure.
So, we did actually talk about this at the last music festival meeting that we had. It was a concern that other business owners had shared with us. And so we took that into consideration, and with the layout of this upcoming festival, we are planning to do the layout a bit differently so that our vendors are in the forefront instead of pushing them off to the side, and instead of pushing them into a different area of the festival itself. We're going to try and integrate them a little bit better with the festival itself, around the stage a little bit better. The whole layout's going to change. The stage is going to be in about the same area as it was last year, but the vendors are going to be in a different area that we think is going to be more beneficial to them. Still in the shade so that they're not, going to be baking in that September sun, but also still closer to the event that people, maybe they have to cross through the vendors to get to the festival itself.
great.
Or,
Suggested
something.
that last year.
Exactly, something like that. So it was considered, we did get that criticism last year, and we are putting that into consideration this year for the planning. So,
But just to clarify though, what I heard was that the whole festival is not necessarily focused on the small business.
Right.
It's really
Correct.
focused on bringing the community together.
correct, yes.
Which is partly the businesses
Yeah.
too.
Right.
And if I can say something too. Our first year, we pulled it together in 10 weeks. And it was largely resident-driven. And then our second year, we lost our DDA representatives. We lost our director and the manager. And so it was largely resident-driven. And then Austin came in, and we were already well into the planning. This year it's a little bit different. I mean, we heard you. We heard you at our follow-up meeting, and are doing the family area. It's really important. And we're going to be putting that back where the vendors were. So the kids will be off a little bit, and we'll have that area fenced in. But like Tom said, we want to integrate the businesses a little bit and give them more of a highlight. I've reached out to, like I said, about 53 businesses, and some people want to be involved, but they can't actually be here. So we've talked about having the DDA tent be kind of a concierge tent where we have all that information available for people. And Tom has done such a great job doing the map. Something like that might be available. And we have the T-shirt that we have all the logos printed on the back. We really want to highlight businesses that way too. So really, we invite you to tell us how to do it better. Because we have been flying by the seat of our pants from the beginning. And it's been magic. It's been absolutely magic. So I also wanted to talk in my 3 minutes, but I'll come back. All right,
Thank you.
And just bouncing off of their comments is that we have heard after the meeting, we had a meeting right after last year's festival, a debrief, and we heard for the layout and also for the family area, and we're incorporating that. And again, this is only the third time, so it's something that's evolving and growing and maturing. And we're hoping it's something that we can get to a point where, you know, if we are no longer there, it's something that continues and continues on. So it is something that we've put a lot of time in. We put a lot of time in last year. We take great pride in it. And it's something that we want not just the residents, but the business to see that there's value and there's something, it's a way to connect with both residents, customers, and long-term clientele.
Yeah. Well, from what you just said and what Lauren just shared, you guys did take the recommendations from the meeting. And being more transparent with what goes on in the meetings and maybe you coming back and reporting like what's going on, I think the transparency is the issue, because everything he said was everything we discussed in the meeting. So I was like, oh, I didn't even have to say any of that. But how would I know that unless I come
That's
to
why
the
I'm showing
meeting?
up.
Yeah,
But you know, we haven't heard that until I actually said something.
Thank you.
and Lauren
So I
does a
would
great
like more
job
transparency.
at being
Yes.
at nearly every meeting to help provide an update on to the board regarding the festival. So, and that's something we're going to continue doing going forward.
And for the family area too, we are getting Parks and Rec involved as well. They are helping us with the planning and the layout of all that. So it's not just us doing it. It's not just, you know, local business owners. We are getting more boards and more groups within the city to help us out as well. So we're you know, it's all hands on deck almost coming on.
I think that's amazing.
And I'm really glad to see that everyone is starting to maybe take this a little bit more seriously and seeing the value in it. And of course, you know, like Austin said and like Lauren said, we are kind of flying by the seat of our pants. We are kind of doing this on a whim. I've never done anything of this size before. So, you know, seeing this be done, I will take criticism and I will take anything that we can improve, because this is valuable for us to make this better for the future. So, you know, anything that anyone can say, it is of value, and we're not going to shirk anyone's thoughts or beliefs just because, oh, it goes against what we're thinking. That's the entire point.
Yes.
So this is valuable and this is needed. So we do appreciate both the questions and all of the insight that we're being given.
And especially with the layout, that was something that we took a great deal of time to consider, because we did find that if we put them all in one location, then people have to go to that location. But if we spread them out throughout, and especially put them on pathways towards like the food trucks or on the way to the family area, people must walk by them or near the entrances. So that allows for that foot traffic to come there no matter where you're placed, because people are moving around the grounds, moving around Municipal Park, and it's not just off in one corner. So we're not gonna have a vendor area, we're gonna have the vendors dispersed throughout the grounds.
So, one last point, based on what we just discussed, which is you guys are moving along, you are taking the recommendations, which are absolutely amazing. Because my business is centrally located, residents do come in and, they know I'm on this board now, and they say things. However, I'm not gonna repeat what they say, because they need to come in here and, speak up for themselves. But I know if there is more transparency with what's going on inside of these meetings, the residents will not come and bother me and step into my shop for 30 minutes and talk to me. I'm not the spokesperson. However, I understand what they're saying because I'm on the board and it's not transparent. So transparency is not trying to be an oversight of telling you guys what to do. It's just keeping everybody in the loop of what's going on, you know?
And Austin and I have talked about it
Yeah.
a lot, that we do want to have some kind of office hours, but we also consider our offices our open door policy. So if there's anyone who has any pressing questions or anything that they want to see, they can email us, they can call us. And I know, it's not everyone's going to find the time, but it's why we do leave ourselves open to all avenues of communication. If you have anything, we're always available. Our emails are always open. It might take me a couple days because I'm only here 3 days a week, but I will be getting with people. So, all avenues of communication are open. We don't intend on hiding anything. And having these meetings only once a month does kind of limit our ability to say what's going on and be as transparent as possible.
Okay, so like Patricia just said, I'm going to add this in. I'm pretty sure I'm the only influencer maybe that's on this board in social media, right? When you share the process, it buys and brings the community in. So saying you have office hours, that's kind of like, that's not good enough for if you're trying to really build community. So maybe starting like something on you guys' because I know you guys have a Facebook page. Sharing little things, it will make people want to come. It will make them see what's coming for the event, or you guys want to have this, or this is going to be different. If I would have heard these things, maybe my mind would have started to think about coming back to the event.
So we
Share
haven't
and
really
be
had a
transparent and share the meetings for everybody to see. Not every single thing, because they don't need to see everything,
Sure.
but the things that benefit them and that are of value and that they would like to see.
Sure, those are great ideas. We haven't really had a meeting in the last month or two, but I thought that's what we were doing.
We do have plans to utilize social media a little bit more, but
Yeah.
now that we didn't want to utilize it too much.
Information.
Exactly, until we had the not the vendors, the acts, all of our musicians and all of our acts.
I just remind
Until we
everybody
had all of
we
them
haven't sent
worked
it
out,
yet.
Oh,
which we
okay.
just got that finalized, I think 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
It's not
Not
quite,
even that,
but I was
yeah,
gonna
it's,
talk
it,
about
we're,
that.
we haven't even finalized all of them yet. So until we do that, we do have plans on doing that a little bit more, but again, it is kind of a slow roll. We're not really in social media all that much, so this is a learning process. And again, anything that we can learn, we will learn if you have anything to teach. So, yeah, we'll gladly accept anything like that. So.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we kind of got sidetracked,
Well,
but
at this-
Yes, we did.
I'll make a motion to
Sometimes
approve the
it happens.
consent agenda.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Let's see, we're down to public comment.
Okay.
One more.
I'm Lori Barris, I really appreciate all of those concerns and questions, I really do, especially with the businesses. And I'm working on the festival almost every single day. I am lucky enough to have a part-time job, so I'm able to work on the festival. And so there's just an enormous amount of hours that's put into the festival. I used to own an event planning business, so this is not the biggest event that I've ever done, but it's the first festival, music festival that I've ever done. I've done big events at Kobo and larger events. I did want to tell you that we have almost, and social media will be putting more out when we have more to say. We haven't really met in a while because we're on the sponsorship kind of edge right now, trying to raise the money. I do have lots of promises from people, and that's all coming to fruition, just so you know. We have one musician that backed out, had a contract for 5 weeks, and I kept waiting for that signature, and then backed out for a better gig. So that was disappointing for us. So we have one spot that we are considering still. But last year we spent $11,100 on all of our musicians. This year, right now, where we stand, we're at $77.80. So we're at a surplus now of we are under budget by $33.20, and we have one opening, and I don't expect to spend more than $1,500 on that, hopefully less. And we have one contract to approve today. Our stage and backline last year was $5,700 for the stage and $1,750 for the backline. I think it'll be less this year because we don't have the whole DJ unit and everything that we need. We do have a DJ, Elisa Emmanuel will be our DJ. She's a professional DJ, and she'll be set up between acts. So she's going to be, and we have an MC. He's booked now too, who'll be there all day. On a separate note, unless there's anything you want to talk to me about the festival, but I do want to tell you all these are great ideas, and we want to bring the businesses to the forefront because that's what the DDA is all about, and I'm all about that. I talked to a manager at Sakura today. I called her for sponsorship, hopefully, and also for recycling containers at the festival, and also because I'm concerned about recycling in City Hall. And I talked to Mike about it, and it's just going to be about educating everyone and getting them to recycle. And I talked to Ann, and she's very excited about the idea of maybe coming to a city council meeting and having a guest spot to talk. I talked to Kelly today, and she thought that might be a good idea, just to educate City Hall and residents about recycling. She also said it's not a good idea to have recycling at the festival because even though people have great intentions, they'll end up throwing food and other things in the recycling, and unless we have somebody who can also go through all of those bags, it's just not a good idea.
What about the truck that comes around to recycle paper?
The one that comes here for like the special events?
Yes, could we have something like that? Because that'll draw people if it's paper than it just being shredded.
Oh, that's something to ask her about. During the festival, you mean?
Uh-huh.
Okay. I can ask her about it. I'm going to be talking to her again in a few days. She did talk about doing events through the soccer communities, which Lathrup Village is one, more than financially contributing to sponsorships. So that might be something that they might want to do, and it might draw people too.
I might not be understanding this correctly. Are you saying it's a place where you could just bring your paper to be shredded? I guess I'm skeptical that people are going, with the traffic, I doubt that people are going to want to do that.
It might be a
It's
hard
loud.
fit.
Yeah.
It's also loud.
Yeah, it might be a hard fit for that day off.
Okay.
But I don't want to say no. I mean, I'll look into it.
I was just thinking because that truck brings traffic. Because when you see the shredding truck, you say, oh, I got all this paper, let me go home and get it. So I don't know. So
It's like a virtuous ice cream truck.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hopefully the festival brings all of that, you know what I
Okay.
mean? But we could do it even for the week before, just bring more attention to Lathrup Village and the businesses,
Just idea.
you know? And I really want your suggestions on how to bring the businesses in. We have a lot of businesses who give services, not products, so it's harder for them to have a booth presence. And how do we get them to be involved? I need that help. And I wanted you to know, because you've invested so much in us, how much I'm investing in this.
And I don't know if this will be a whole interruption in the flow of the festival, but just like anything you do, you have advertisement. And maybe that's something to think about, of maybe having some businesses present on the stage between shows or...
We do have that. In fact, we are going to be doing PSAs. Here's something that we hadn't thought about telling. We're going to be doing little PSAs on all the businesses that are contributing to the festival, and that'll be showed on our,
Okay.
closed circuit or whatever it is.
Okay.
We also are offering for businesses in our sponsorship package, for a certain level sponsorship, they get 90 seconds on the stage to advertise their business
Oh, okay.
and to introduce a band.
Okay, great.
So we have people who are interested in doing that too.
Okay.
We thought that would be a good idea, and a good way to get businesses out front. But I want you to know we're listening, and we just don't always know how to implement,
Yeah.
And the first year was hit and run,
Yeah.
and the second year was, oh God, what do we do now?
Yeah.
Because we didn't have anyone from the DDA, and this year we're fully stocked and loaded, and we want to go. We really want to go.
What about
so.
a certain donation level to sing in the band?
You've gone too far.
Yeah, we'd have to talk to
Danielle
the
and I
bands
think.
about that, and it would have to be individually, yeah. I'm not gonna say no.
Do it, yeah.
Okay.
Certain part, you get karaoke hour.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
You'll clear it out then. One
Last
last,
half of the night.
one last thing, Lauren.
Yeah.
So, again, I did tell them to come to the meeting about the liquor sponsor that's there. Are they based in Lathrup at all? Like, do they live here or are they just?
We just have a beer sponsor right now, which has been with us from the beginning, which is Dog and Pony Show.
Yeah.
And they're in Berkeley. Is it Berkeley?
Yeah.
Or Oak Park.
Yeah.
Oak Park. We had a partnership too with them over the halfway. We did a halfway to the music and had a fundraiser at Dog and Pony. And then we are talking to Danny. Last year, Danny down at Village Wine.
Yeah.
He did our wine, and we pay for everything else.
He was both wine and our liquor provider supplier.
Yeah.
Yes,
so that
and
was
we
local.
buy all of our liquor from Danny.
Yeah.
So the purpose of that question was just making sure that every person that we employ and that's making money is in our ecosystem.
Yeah,
'Cause
that's
I was
where
like,
we
why
look
do you guys
first.
have these events over in this other city? And it
And
just
the-
kind of clicked to me.
We don't have a brewery here in Lathrup Village. They're the closest, and they offered to help us with the fundraiser, and so we took them up on it.
Yeah, they
They
came.
don't have draft across the street?
They might, but they don't brew their own beer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this was a brewery, and it was a little bit different. They'd been with us from the beginning. I think initially, because we started 10 weeks and when we're in, someone knew someone and referred them to us, and they were happy to be part of it.
And they donated it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They
They
donated it all?
donated a
Yeah.
large
A large
supply. No,
part.
we pay a small
Yeah,
bill.
yeah. They give
First
us
year they
a
donated it all,
discount.
though, didn't they?
The first year, no, we paid a small bill.
Yeah,
But, they donate most of it.
Right.
And last year, they also donated helpers. Not last year, the first year.
First year.
Yeah, they donated helpers. But,
Yeah,
we're
but
gonna
we-
be asking Village Wine, and we buy all of our liquor in town, like, it would, we're not going to Costco or anything like that.
it all, yeah. Village Wine's been a fantastic partner to work with. They made it so easy on the day of. And also, the guys at Dog and Pony have been fantastic to work with as
Yeah.
well.
Okay,
Thanks,
thank you.
All right, we're finally on item 7, old business. Is there any?
No old business today.
Okay, moving on to new business then.
So we have one of the performance agreements, contracts here for you to review and to approve their deposit. We did have 2 artists, 2 contracts to bring to you last month, but because last month's meeting was canceled, the artist was offered a gig with a guaranteed contract. So they took it, completely understand. This band, the contract will be for $1,000, so the deposit will be $500. And based right now, Lauren, you can help me with these figures if they're not correct. Sponsorship secured is $2,045. Sponsorship pledged is $3,250, plus the $10,000 donated by the DDA. And our total artist booking expenses is $7,700,
700 something.
because the figure I have here is
780.
outdated. So they're a fantastic act. They sing Caribbean-style music. They're very fun band to listen to and to dance to. And Lauren was lucky enough to talk with them on the phone and said they were very cordial on the phone. I've seen a couple interviews with them. They seem like great guys. They know how to put on a show. It's a full band, and I think they're going to be a great addition. And unfortunately, we lost one of the artists that we were hoping to have, but our lineup is fantastic. It's a really strong lineup, and I'm excited. We have only one act coming back because we're trying to rotate through artists, because looking at Arts Beats and Eats, what they do, what other acts, other musical festivals do is they kind of have different acts come on through, and every few years they come back. And there's definitely a couple artists from last year I'd like to have back next year. But the Roots Vibration is a fun act that I think people will enjoy. So we are here to ask for their deposit of $500. And if we get the approval, we can provide them the check shortly.
Okay, somebody like to make that motion to approve the performance agreements of $500 for Roots Vibrations for the music festival?
Make the motion to approve the agreement for $500.
Okay,
Second?
motion and second. All in favor?
Oh, we got a question.
One question, should the motion be to approve the $1,000 with $500 deposit, or should it be to approve the 500?
It should be for a total of 1,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
To approve the 1,000
Yes, with the
Okay.
deposit of 500.
with the
Alright.
deposit of 500.
All right, so,
I make a motion to approve the $1,000 with the deposit of 500.
very good. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Moving on to flowers.
So during our February meeting, we had a agenda item regarding the hanging flower pots along Southfield Road, and the beautification for the spring and summertime is ongoing. We have two flower and plant related items. This is the first one. Just so you're aware, our budget for plant and flower material is for this year was $7,000. So these two items would require a budget amendment. This first one would require a budget amendment of $206.28. So we're asking for a budget amendment of $207. And these are for the standing flower pots around City Hall and around the pavilion. I will say last year we received numerous comments from residents who were happy to see the flowers that were brought to the city. And I think our supplier for the standing flower pots and for especially the hanging flower pots, it's only going to be more beautiful this year, this go around. So we received 8 quotes, and we requested quotes from 8 different suppliers. We received a quote from Alexander Garden Center, which was the lowest bidder. The breakdown for the cost for the flower pots, because the soil in there, Pam, if I'm correct, it's 7 years old?
This would be 6 years. So
6 years,
you're supposed to change it like after 1 or 2
Yeah.
years.
So we're a little bit behind. So a part of this budget request will include new soil, fertilizer, and then plant supports, the trellis, to help the plants grow. So it's a total for $1,550. The plants would be provided by Alexander Garden Center for $1,002.59. And like I said, we've had other flower and plant related projects. We had the park trees that were installed last fall. We had the trees, bushes, and shrubs installed around City Hall in the Flowerbeds. So we are at $7,206.28 for plant and flower related materials. So this will be 2 requests, one for a budget amendment of $207 so that we can have the standing flower pots with new soil, with fertilizer in the flowers, and then also to approve with the purchase of flowers from the quote provided by Alexander Garden Center.
Okay, that's 207, is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, it's $206.20, so I just rounded up to $207.
okay. So would anyone like to make that motion?
I'll make a motion to approve a budget amendment of $207 for the purchase of flowers for the standing flower pots outside of the city, and to authorize the DDA director to proceed with the purchase of flowers for standing pots from Alexander Garden Center not to exceed the quote provided.
Well done.
Well stated.
Like I made it up right on the spot.
Support.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, moving on to the next floral issue.
The next is regarding the flower beds. So one of our most valuable volunteers, Reed Bosky, he has come up with a concept that's evolved over a number of years. It's included in your packet for the flower beds that surround, I'm gonna actually bring them up here so we can take a look at them, regarding City Hall. And due to our budget constraints, we've asked him to split it into 2 phases. Well, actually, it was 2 phases, and now it's going to be 3 phases. So the first phase were the trees and shrubs you see currently in the flower beds, and then the perennials that will go along with them. I've asked him to split those into 2 phases. So this year, the perennials would cost $1,431, and on page 26 of your meeting packet, in the memo, you can see that it takes into consideration the approval of the standing flower pots. So for all total flower and plant purchases for this budget year, it would come out to $8,636.86. It puts us over budget by $1,636.86. So this would require a budget amendment as well of $1,431. He's received quotes from 3 different nurseries in the area, and this was the lowest bidder with also the highest quality flowers available.
So if I'm a little confused, if we're over budget by $1,600, why is the budget amendment only $1,400?
Because you just approved
Oh, 'cause it's
207.
200 on the other side, never mind.
I'm sorry, why is the standing flower pots are on twice again? You
No,
said
this
it-
is for the flower beds.
I know, but doesn't it include standing flower pots, you said?
That was the first
No,
item.
well, we're
There's
separating
2.
it out.
It is a little confusing.
Yeah, it
The
is a
re-
little
The
confusing.
standby
Yeah.
flower pots are the annuals.
Yeah.
The
it
reason they
yeah.
included them was to show you the total overage of the budget, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which was my confusion, why it was
Okay.
16 versus 1,400.
Got it.
It was
I had to do the
200.
quick math.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a time crunch in getting the quotes received, and then I was out of town, so I had to put this together this morning. If I had a little more time, I probably would have
Okay.
presented it in a different manner.
So help me a little bit.
Yep.
It's more just, so is there a picture of what exists today, or are these all improved pictures that you supplied us? Like that first one you had up, you said, here's what we have today, but,
The trees and bushes in the diagram around City Hall were put in place last fall, so.
these,
so
those
yeah,
are there.
So those are there.
And then this is
but
all the
shorter
new,
stuff,
right,
Not.
okay.
And all installation will be done via volunteers. And
Okay.
Paradise had originally offered to help us with installation, but it would have been $2,500 for the installation, so we chose to go with volunteers. Which I think last year when we did the installation, we expected it to be 2 days, and we got it all done in 3 hours because we had, Pam, how many would you say? There was almost 24.
Well,
We had a strong turnout.
A good dozen anyway.
Yeah, at least a good,
Enough
yeah,
to get it done
15.
in no
Yeah, it
time.
was impressive, and it was a hot day, but luckily everyone came on out with a great attitude, and we got it done. And I think we can do the same this year with the perennials.
And I am not a gardener, So does any of this come back next year?
Yes, all of the perennials that are planted around City Hall, all the trees and shrubs. Yeah, we will not be incurring this expense again next year.
Yeah, the staining flower pots are annuals,
Yes.
so they would not come back next
Right.
year. But what's going into
Anything
the
in the
flower
ground
bed?
We
would-
have to- Yeah,
Is intended to be permanent,
Yes.
yes.
yeah.
For the beautification of City Hall. And these are the renderings that have been put together, so some of these do exist currently, and then half the perennials will be put in, and then next year we'll come back and ask for the remaining perennials that we would like to see in the flower beds.
You know what would look really nice on there is lines on the parking lot, one of these days. It'll be like my legacy, maybe someday I can paint some lines.
Okay.
First we gotta repave it.
Yeah.
That's what we've been saying for 4 years, but I keep parking out there every day and I have to guess where to park, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it looks nice. I would love, Pam, I don't know, you're like my flower expert, so.
I'm not for hire.
Yeah, okay. Any other questions on that?
Yeah. I just think, just in the spirit of transparency, the watchword of the day, Michiganense Natives is a business that Reed himself is involved with as an employee of, but they do have the best quote of all the people who have these native flowers, which are, I mean, not every garden center, in fact, not many garden centers at all carry native Michigan plants. That is the theme of our new, beds around City Hall. So,
And that is something, with the trees as well, is that we're going for Michigan native plants.
yes, all of them.
You said Reed works at,
He works at Michiganense Natives, which is a native plant nursery.
okay.
But like I say, it's,
And feral floral and new leaf natives were also quotes were received from.
yeah.
But with those two, not all the flowers that we were looking to plant were available. So all of the Michigan natives that we were looking to install are available with Michiganese natives.
Okay, so would anyone care to make a motion to approve that $1,431 budget amendment for the perennial flowers?
Motion to approve the increase in our budget, make an amendment to our budget to accommodate all of the new plantings with one caveat, that hopefully next year we won't have that line item again, so.
Okay.
You gotta put the amount in there.
What's that?
Put the amount in there.
1,600, I'm sorry.
400.
$1,400 and
$31.
$31.
Yeah, that 16 is the total budget amendment between the two,
Yep.
two agenda items.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Okay, what are we up to here? The recommended DDA budget for next fiscal year?
So in February, we brought to you the draft budget for 2025, fiscal year 25-26 for the DDA. With revenue, the total projected revenue is $533,500, reflecting a slight increase of $6,762 from the previous year. We were expecting a decrease based on the reassessment of Michigan First building, but it is not going to be as big of a hit as we expected, and there will be actually a slight increase in the revenue from our in total revenue. The TIFA capture, tax capture will be $422,500, reflecting property assessments already accounted for. Expenditures, salaries and wages have been adjusted to $130,000, decreased from $50,000 to streetscaping projects is budgeted at $20,500, including plant materials, banners, and holiday decorations. Capital last year, I think our holiday lighting actually was pretty good for $10,000. I think for the amount of money we spent, we got great value for it, and we received good feedback from residents capital improvements, 100,000 allocated for completion of the alleyway improvements, which between next year will be the final phase of the alleyway improvement project that's been going on for at least 5 years now. And because we bid out the 2 final years together jointly, we received, it was less than we expected. So we saved on the joint bidding. The music festival, 10,000 contribution from the DDA, which the revenue that we received last year was returned to the DDA from last year's music festival. Repairs and maintenance will come to be 64,500, significantly reduced due to the reallocation of the alleyway projects to a new line item that we've created in coordination with our finance director. It will now be known as capital improvements. So the repair budget and the capital improvement budget will be separate now. And facade and sign programs remain at 20,000 and 10,000 respectively. And this is these 2 programs are something that Tom and I are about to really get turn up the speed on and allocate those funds to our local businesses to help them with their facade and sign improvements. And there's definitely, with signs, the costs have gone up. I keep hearing from business owners that the cost to have a sign produced has only become more expensive, and it is a great expense for any business to take on. So the budget is included here with notes and available for any questions.
So the increase in TIFA capture, so basically the increase in taxable value kind of offset the loss from Michigan First?
Twofold, yes, and part of Michigan First tax hit came this current fiscal year, so it's not going to be as big of a hit next year. So that's why instead of the typical like 5, 6, 7% that we think would go increase to the investment in downtown. Yeah, so thanks to the businesses investing in their buildings, increasing their value, plus part of the tax hit hitting this current fiscal year. That's what we have to.
So why this slight bump up in holiday decorations?
As you guys remember, when we approved it this year, it was over $10,000.
Yeah.
So this just kind of accounts
It's
for
hedging our
that, because
bets, yeah.
the assumption between me and Austin talking about this, I don't think you guys are want less than this past year, since we got so many positive comments on it. So we're just kind of using this number as what we paid this year plus a little bit of inflation that we're estimating.
Okay. And under repairs and maintenance, what are we repairing and maintaining? What does the DDA have? I know we have the code enforcement truck, but.
But we also maintain landscaping along the service drive. And
okay.
another item with that was, in previous years, only half of what was supposed to be maintained during the winter was actually being maintained. So that's
Okay.
why, if you all recall, we had to double that budget.
Yeah, and at last night's town hall, you know, it was brought up the trash, you know, encroaching on the sidewalk.
Mhm.
Is that something we could contract with Paradise to deal with? Or
Yeah,
DPW
I went through my notes with Austin about last night yet, but well, yeah, we'll take a look at 11 Mile to see what his concerns actually were,
Yeah.
and if anything, if it's what I took from it, maybe it's just telling our Paradise when they're doing their yearly cleanup out there, be like, hey, do a good edging of the sidewalks, and maybe they'll at least start
Yeah.
fixing the issue.
Yeah, from what people told me afterwards was that it's a lot of trash and stuff. So I don't know if Paradise is going to want to do that as part of their contract. I don't know how big the problem is. So
Yeah,
like you said,
the other issue we're gonna have to kind of wait on right now is construction.
Yeah,
So when half the district where they take care of is construction right now.
Yeah.
right. They're just going to add to it.
Yeah.
Well, one other thing is we haven't, as a DDA, we haven't done cleanup, spring and fall cleanup that we used to traditionally do every year to pick up the trash along the road.
Right. Or at one point we had the DDA cleanup crew, but we couldn't staff it. And it was a part-time crew that we couldn't find people
Yeah.
to take their
Yeah.
job.
But this was the volunteer effort, you know, just 2
Yeah.
Saturdays a year, we'd go out and pick up trash. Good times.
The vendor that we had to do the salt last year, at the last minute, remember, do they offer that?
But Paradise, it's the same company you guys
it's
had under that
Paradise.
contract.
Mhm.
So yeah, we'll just have to chat with them. naturally they're a landscape company, so I know they'll do it.
Yeah.
It's just, we're gonna take a look at their contract, see if, that type of stuff's included in it, or if it's just gonna be a little extra fee. Cause taking care of 11 Mile, for us, just due to cost, they only do it, once every 3-4 weeks, depending on weather and how fast grass grows. So that's another issue, cause the main focus of their contract was actually mowing the grass and keeping that cleaned up, so.
It almost, so I have that exact same issue at my building. All of the trash from the whole corridor runs over to the side and it gathers up behind, and then eventually it's out of the way, but the residents complain and they ask me to pick it up, so, which I'm not, cause I pay for landscaping. However, it seemed like we would have to like get somebody from the cities to do it on a regular, because they come seasonally to clean it up, but what he's talking about, he can't ride his bike from last night, so.
Okay.
It seems like we would have to have somebody from the city, like, take that on as a job, to just go down there and fix it up. Cause it's gonna happen it happens all the time. for
Okay.
us, Yeah.
Yeah, as said earlier, I was out of town and
Yeah,
I was
I
not
know.
able to attend last night's meeting, so I haven't spoken with we just had a preliminary briefing about it. So we can discuss that further and then provide an update next month.
Yeah, good.
I have a question on this budget. The
Mhm.
$600 for Main Street revenue, that's not listed? Should that be listed or not?
Under revenue,
Uh-huh. Main Street revenue.
I think she's looking at the disbursement report
Yeah, this report versus this one.
versus the budget.
Oh, I think that was based off a grant that the DDA received, so with
Okay.
grants, if they're not guaranteed, we don't budget them.
Okay, that's what I want you to.
and that's something that Tom and I have been working on more, is going after grants to help support projects and also to help alleviate the strain on the budget as well. And I feel like we have gotten to a point where we can be more proactive. We can go after grants and hopefully be successful. And we've got a good relationship right now with the Southeast Michigan Council of Governments, so we can get feedback from them, and they're very helpful in technical assistance on grants. And that's something across the board at the state level and at the county and federal level. The technical assistance being provided to government units looking to go after grants is becoming easier, because it used to be a burden to learn what exactly was required of a grant submission. And then now there's people there to actually help you understand that.
And I'm also considering taking a grant writing course with Macomb Community College. They do have a continuing education course that I've tossed around every so often for the last, I think, better part of 3 months. Kind of put it off, but it is something that is being considered. And I do know that there's a facade grant that was available. I don't know if it's going to be available with the current administration, but it was available federally, and there was also a federal signed grant that was available. Again, I don't know if those are going to survive the next couple of months, but.
And that's something we'd like to go after, because
Yeah.
right now, we only have 20 and 10,000 respectively to give out to businesses. And like I said, those costs of having a sign produced or helping improve your facade, it's costly. And so any additional help we can provide to the businesses, we're definitely gonna try to identify and go after.
Mike, does Lexipol help us with DDA grants as well, or is it just the city?
It'd be the DDA as well.
Yeah.
It's naturally with them, they only write one full grant
Right,
per
right.
year, so it's the whole pick and choose, so we gotta find where our biggest bang for the buck is.
Right.
But we have found that actually the burden of submitting a grant is also becoming a little more alleviated. It's not as much time required. It used to be quite extensive.
Any other budget comments? If not, we'll move on to the next item, DDA.
If we can get a motion to approve the DDA
Oh,
budget.
that.
I'll make a motion to approve the DDA budget.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, now we can move on to the DDA board meeting time discussion.
Yes, this is something that's been brought up on at least the last few meetings about the time of the meetings. I will say, because Fred was unable to attend today's meeting, he said that Fridays are becoming more difficult for him to attend. So this is just a general discussion we wanted you all to have to discuss what times would be preferred. I've spoken with the county and about other cities of their DDAs when they meet, and the general answer is there is no good time to meet. That it's difficult for anybody depending on the time, day, or evening or morning or afternoon. It's not easy to find a day or time that works for all board members and staff. So it's something that to be discussed and receive feedback on.
Anyone want to jump
I
in?
prefer Mondays. It's very easy. Or even Tuesdays are alike for me too. But I know that that's like your heavy day, back to work.
Yeah, Tuesdays are out for me.
Yeah.
I have standing meetings every Tuesday.
Now with that, even with the date change, would you guys even consider switching the time? So based on experience, next is my third city that has DDAs. I've had them at 7:30 in the morning, or I've had them in the evening. It is one of those tricky things because, as most of you guys work during the day or have your own business, we are trying to do what we can to accommodate your schedule, but I know it gets a little tricky managing everyone. So that's why we've seen noon traditionally works. People do them on their lunches, or you do it bright early in the morning before you actually go to work.
See,
'Cause I
for
know
me-
I know it's tough to get people to come
yeah,
back
for
at.
me, my school opens from 9 to 1. And so when I come to the meeting, I have to either cancel class that day or skip a couple hours of class. So it is difficult during that time. And that's Monday through Friday.
Parks and Rec and the Tree Committee, they meet at 4 and 4 or 4:30, and that time works quite well for them.
Okay. That sounds better.
So
Well,
Mondays are out or in, or who can do
Any
Monday,
day
who
of the week.
can't?
It's okay with me.
Nobody said anything. We're all just staring at each
The
other.
only limitation on Mondays is council meetings, so it would, since either Kelly or I have to be here, couldn't be later or early in the evening on Mondays.
And depending on what day of the week, Tree Committee meets on Tuesdays. And what days Parks and Rec? Parks and Rec is also on.
No, they're fine. They can overlap.
Okay.
I don't have, there are some days that aren't good, but ultimately, I guess, are we voting to change, or are we just discussing?
Just
Friday?
discussing.
Friday doesn't work. Friday at noon works great for me, so I don't really have a dog to argue here, but, yeah, I'm sure we all could find times that don't work for us. Yeah, so I don't know, if you wanna do a Google survey.
We could do a survey.
and
I
just-
think that
and
would be
put some
best.
8 or 9 different times on
Yeah.
there, and then just see what the majority says. Ultimately, I schedule this as a meeting. So I put it on my calendar from noon to 2 every third Friday or whatever we meet. And I don't schedule around that. I understand that some of us have standing classes, and that sounds very unfortunate. But I just know I don't schedule any during this time. That's how I treat it. I don't treat it as a second place. I treat it as a first place. So if it's Monday at 7 in the morning, I'll treat it as a meeting. I'll try to be here by 7. But I can tell you, if you have it near the end of the day, you're probably gonna lose me. Because I'm old and I like to get home. So I start very early and I get home at 5, so, or 5:30.
And on the opposite end, if you're at 7 in the morning, you'll probably lose me.
Yeah, right, so middle of the day kinda works for me and Bert. No, I get that there's struggles. These are volunteer positions, so they're hard to get there.
It is.
I'm a little different in that my boss said I had to come here, so,
Oh,
yeah.
oh, okay.
That was 6.5 years ago, but,
Well, we're
but,
glad you stuck around.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
So ultimately, I don't know that you'll get a consensus
Yeah.
by freewheeling conversation. So I would suggest a poll of some
Yeah.
sort and just,
Yeah.
and then just come up with some alternatives. And then we can talk about, hey, this seems to be working for everybody.
And then
So since we're talking about times, I know Danielle had sent an email out about having Zoom sometimes.
And that's,
Yeah.
yeah,
And that was nixed because of the
state law.
Exactly.
Open Meetings Act.
Open Meetings Act. So how does the courts get away with that?
'Cause they're not a public body in the same sense that we are. The Open
Okay.
Meeting Act doesn't apply to them.
Okay.
Does it?
It
For
does
sure?
not, it does not apply to them.
Yeah, the judges get to set their own rules and then how the court operates, so.
Yeah, so some judges
Yeah.
do, some judges allow it and some don't.
During COVID, we had great attendance. In fact, Kelly gave me a hard time because that's when I was chair and I was bragging about everybody showing up to the meet. She goes, "There's Zoom." How hard can it be? I was like, "Come on, Kelly, don't give me a hard time." But
Yeah, and the reason why we were allowed to do it then was because the state law was
Yeah.
changed
Yeah.
temporarily.
Oh, okay.
yeah,
And I was
there
on a
a
public
moratorium.
body at that time.
So that's
and
a
it
state
was
law.
Yeah.
Really nice. I wish
Yeah.
they would have allowed that, continued it, but unfortunately they withdrew it after the state of emergency was withdrawn.
All right, so should we leave it at that then, and you'll
Can
We'll
I,
set
send
up a,
it.
can I actually just ask something? When you guys want the survey made, do you want the language to be what times don't work for you, or do you want me to ask what times work best?
Well, I would think, well, that's a great question.
Yeah.
I'll leave that up to the team.
well, why don't we do it the way we do some other ones, and just
When are you
pick
available?
various
When-
times, and then we would click, yes, I'm available this time, that time. that
Okay.
time.
I can do that.
And we'll
Okay.
see what the majority says.
Try to have it dispersed between like morning, middle of the day, and evening.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
options all
Not
throughout
like
the day.
1, 2,
Yeah.
3.
Yeah, right. Okay.
So very weird question. Am I the only person getting approached by the residents?
About,
Things that go on in here?
oh, I talk to residents. I'm constantly talking to residents.
I know you said you wanted them to speak for themselves, but like, what's like one of the top concern or one that you thought was kind of really pertinent, if you don't mind sharing, that you heard from them?
There are a few. I've started recording them, to be honest, because I don't want my words to get mixed up later. And I'm like, it's in the middle of a work day. You can't just walk up in my building because you just happen to walk down the street. Transparency is a big one, as Pam highlighted on that word, because, they feel like, and, just being around for a while, I feel like that's just the overarching point. That's why they like to fight. If you just tell people everything, they kind of don't have a dog to fight. Like, just tell them. It's not a secret. And I think that'll stop them from coming into my store. Another thing was this one was kind of weird, and they basically said they tried to come in and participate in some of these committee meetings, but they were told it was a closed meeting and they were pushed out. Yeah. So I'm just telling you,
Don't appreciate
and
it.
I feel bad, but I feel bad not say something because clearly they're coming here because they want me to say something. But that's why I was asking about the committee meetings. Are they open? Are they in their group where they have to be open, transparent meetings? Because they tried to come in and participate and figure out what was going on, and they were basically pushed out the door.
Do we do any annual surveys of the residents?
I know. I'll tell you, but
To
I'll tell
find
you
out.
offline. I can tell you, but I can't tell you online.
I asked that about the surveys for the residents. Do we do that annually to see?
So we did do a survey earlier this year regarding a public participation plan that was presented to City Council. This survey got around 100 hits, and it did ask how do people, what are people's opinions of the transparency and the work that's being done by city staff, and what do you feel about the boards? We went off of a 1 to 7 scale. It was 1 is very negative, 7 is very positive, everywhere in between. Everything that we had was fairly positive. I think the average was like anywhere from 4.6 to 4.8 rating for each question. So it's around neutral to fairly positive. But in a place where there was public comment, or that people could leave comments, a lot of it was varying comments of, yes, I do like what's going on, no, I hate this, everything is bad, and there just didn't really seem to be a lot of middle ground, you know? You could tell who was, you know, who was writing out each one, because not everyone left a comment, but if I found question or respondent 37 leaving a comment, and the comment was negative, then I could probably assume that they were one of the people who put all ones for very negative. So, you know, looking at something like that, we could do it again, but understand we didn't get a lot of hits. Less than 100 out of 4,200. It's not exactly a
But
good
how did
percentage,
you
but
get them involved? It was through the email?
it was through emails. We put it through. I announced it at a couple city council meetings. We had put it through the newsletter. The one thing I don't think I don't think we put it onto the DDA website or onto any of the website pages. I didn't know how to do it at that point. I could do it now. Would people still, you know, would we get around 100 hits again? Probably, and honestly, we'd probably get about the same results. I do think we'd get about.
Well, when I hear the word transparency, I think of lack of communication. And so what that says to me then, how do we inform more of the citizens in a way they feel that we're transparent?
I'm gonna take this one up on the podium actually. So one of the things that Austin and I had talked about when I first got in was how we can improve transparency, and something through redevelopment ready community certifications was doing just that. And having talked to our RRC representatives up at the county and with the state, we did mention that one of the things we wanted to do was make short form YouTube videos, specifically regarding ordinance changes. What was it, last Tuesday at Planning Commission, I had announced the ordinance change for solar panels. And we're taking public feedback on that, and I do plan on making a presentation and giving that at the next meeting in May. But how many people are going to that, right? So how many people are going to be there? How many people are going to watch this on YouTube? Something to consider. So one of the things that we had considered then, what if we make a short form YouTube video, no more than 5 minutes, where we talk about the ordinance change, the intention, and just key points and details. It was pretty well received. Have we been able to get to that? No, not yet. It's been a little busy here. But you know, if it's something that people want to see, I'll do it. I'll throw myself in front of a camera and I'll just go off for about 5 minutes. But you know, it's a matter of what can we do that people are going to appreciate and people are actually going to watch, because we can do everything under the sun and people are still not going to read what we write and watch what we do, and you know, so I'm willing to do it if you guys want me to do it, and if residents want me to do it, you know, we'll do it. But it's what else can we do other than ordinance changes, right? Is there anything that people want to see from the DDA that we're considering, or things that we're pulling information on, you know, things like that?
For this demographic, particularly Lathrup Village, and the surrounding areas as well, because we do participate with Southfield and Oak Park, YouTube is the #1 platform. However, the way that suggestion, and this is how I run my channel, everything is not for everyone, and you don't worry about how many people watch the content. The content is out there and it is for them to reference. So you use the SEO, you put the transcript of what it's about, the ordinance that you're addressing, it will all come up in SEO. So if a resident who is irritated and has an issue and they type in solar panels, Lathrup Village, the video is going to type up. So any questions that they have, granted, they probably trash you in the comments, but it doesn't matter, because now you take away their ability to complain about you not communicating.
Right.
Sure.
That's what I'm trying to, get across. And I hope that I don't come across as I'm very passionate about things, and when I suggest them, I'm trying to be innovative, not to snatch and change everything you guys have going on in here. I just understand both sides and how I run my business. If I have an update, I'll record a quick video and I'll put it out there. I'll email it out to everybody, so when they say they have not seen it, yes, you were on the email list, so if you didn't see, you didn't want to see it.
Right.
And they could always reference it, so you're gonna have people complain, but it doesn't matter because you said it.
Right.
You put it out there. So quick videos, they don't have to be a full production, they could be something very fast, and like I said, with SEO, you talk strictly about whatever you guys are working on in the official capacity, in the in the transcript, and it just goes out, and now it's there. And now a lot of issues that happen in these meetings, and you'll still deal with them, because some people are just negative, however, you know what I mean? You have something to stand on instead of like, oh, well, we were doing this, but we didn't tell you guys.
Right.
They don't like that.
And that's important too, because sometimes I do get into that headspace of, well, if I make this, who's actually going to watch it?
Yeah, you can't be like that. They don't
Yeah,
care. I'll
yeah.
post a video up. Nobody used to watch my videos when I first started, and I have almost 200,000 subscribers. Like, just post the video.
Okay.
Yeah, you never know. And then it'll grow. So 100 people this month, next thing you know, oh, they actually look at these and pay attention. Next thing you know, you do another one, and it's 200 people. It'll grow. You need consistency in everything, even in government. Government is not different from business.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that feedback.
And Tom, while you're up there, talk about the updates to the DDA website.
Yes. So we made massive updates to the website over the last couple of weeks. If you want to scroll up, Austin, we did put a frequently asked questions tab. You can click on each and every one of the questions there, and it'll give you a drop down, very brief explanation, very brief answers for all the questions that are there. To the right hand side, you have the vendor application portal, just basic announcements and links to important documents. The vendor application portal, the solar energy system ordinance, the information regarding the St. Baldrick's fundraiser that we're doing. You've got the board members there. That one stayed from the last iteration that the last major update that we did. We did change it from you guys having your own page. Now you're just on you have your own page still, but you're on the DDA page as well. That way more people can know who you are. And then we have the map. The map, last time we talked about this in March when I announced it, even though we didn't have quorum, I did present it to those who were available so that you guys could see what we were doing. One of the biggest call-outs that we got the last time was that the color coordination wasn't complete, and I didn't even realize that it wasn't complete at that time. So we went through again and we added the new color. I do believe if you scroll down a little, there's a map legend. There's 5 colors now: orange, green, purple. What else is there? Can't see. Blue and
Green.
yellow. Yep. Orange, green, yellow, blue, purple. And they represent all the businesses that have, over the since February up to the start of April, that have re-upped on their
Business license.
Business license. Thank you. There will be more coming in May. I wanted to do this twice a month. I don't think I'm going to be able to make the updates twice a month. I think we're only going to be able to do it at the start of every month. But still, we will be able to make additions with these. This was made by Mapline. They are free for us to use, and they allow us to add up to, I believe, 500 businesses. So we're going to be well within our business capacity. When it's all said and done, once I have every single business marked on here, I'm going to be going through and taking vacancies. So that'll be a 6th color being added. That'll be a gray color. Vacancies that we have, businesses that are open, and I'll give you the contact information for the property owner so that a business owner, prospective business owner, can call them and say, hey, what's the information about this? One of the things that I do want to add over time, we don't have social media or websites for these businesses just yet. Probably is going to be something I'm going to have to sit down to, take a week and go do. We do have right now over 70 businesses marked on there. If you zoom out a little bit, everything kind of gets jumbled together and it all becomes a bunch of yellow dots that say, oh yeah, there's 4 businesses within this plot, 7 businesses within another plot. But if you scroll in, it'll give you a better idea of where each building is and where each business is. So,
Is there a possibility to put like a link to their websites? on
Yes,
that?
there is. When you also, if you want to hit one of the dots, it gives you the name, the address, latitude and longitude. That's just if you go off of like Google information. But there is another place to put in links. Again, that's something that I'm going to have to do very meticulously
Right,
for every
right.
single business because that's a lot so far.
But this is a great jumping off point. It's something we had discussions about. We had quite a few different ways we thought about presenting all of the businesses we have here in the DDA. And we thought about maybe having it look like a mall directory. But we ultimately went with the map because we thought that it was the easiest way to get the
That'd be-
information across.
Yeah, it's,
I like the map.
yeah.
The mall directory was working out when we thought we were only going to have like 50 or 100 businesses, and then we realized, wait a minute, this is going to look way too cluttered, way too fast. So we did shift with the map, and that I think just turned out even better. Especially going with Mapline, when I talked to them, they reached out to me when I made my account and basically announced themselves in a personalized email that they were there to help us. I talked to them for 15 minutes, and in that 15-minute conversation, I got everything under the sun. It's entirely user-friendly, so it's there's nothing very comprehensive about it. It's easy to use and easy to make as well. Having it up to 500 businesses also for a community our size really, really helps as well. So,
Yeah, they've been a great partner to work with.
oh, for sure.
All right, Austin, bring us home with
All
the
right.
DDA
One
director.
last thing.
Yeah.
Back to your short form, the YouTube videos that you were talked about. The other thing is that we're talking about ordinances, ones that are commonly, I suppose, violated, right? And so that might be a thing. And so examples of what's permissible and what's impermissible, and maybe why. Some of the stuff, some business owners may say a little bit burdensome, but sometimes if you explain why or what the intent behind it is, people will, understand that better and maybe even suggest some less burdensome alternatives, because businesses do often feel somewhat targeted by ordinances, especially like I was reading some stuff about how many open signs you can have and stuff like that, and that's a bit, can feel a little bit nitpicky.
And that for something like that, I can definitely talk to Steve, our co-enforcement officer, and see what he thinks, or in his mind, what are the most prevalent ordinance violations that he sees, and I'll kind of make up a script of his recommendations
Right.
based on that. So that is good insight as well. I appreciate that.
And we've also looked at multiple platforms that offer video production with the assistance of AI, and we're trying to see which one would be the most beneficial. There was one we found that was very helpful, but it was very costly. So, but we might start low budget and just do it with a microphone and our cell phone and edit the video from there, and then ultimately go to a more comprehensive and well put together platform.
Put my ugly mug on the camera, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah.
I thought at one point we invested in a tripod and a little setup. We did some of that stuff.
Yep,
Yeah.
we do have that. Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I just think we just need to have like a little microphone clip.
Yep.
And I think we'd be good to go.
This path has been traveled in the past. We talked about the Lathrup Village Minute. We did that idea maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and then after COVID, obviously, was a big push. The planning part is super important. The doing part is the part that usually stops. It's just consistency doing it. She didn't get 200,000 followers by one video.
No.
Right.
It's 4,000 videos, and the point of being is that you have to just be repetitive with it and be consistent and do it all the time. The hardest part is just pushing the record button.
Yeah, the execution of it.
Yeah.
And you're right, with consistency. I mean, you look at some of the most popular podcasts, they put them out every day, every week at the same time that they always do. And that's how you get a following.
And I am far from a one-take wonder too. It takes me quite a bit to get up and get going.
You know how you get good at it? You just keep doing
I
it.
keep
Yeah.
doing it, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely is something that has been considered internally, and it is something that we do want to do. But you're right, it is just making sure that we get it. And me being here for such a limited time as well, a week, is also a big factor. A thought that I did have was do it at home, where I have my own pseudo-professional setup with a computer. I just sit at my computer, I read off a script, and I go from there. Something that I did have that I can do, but a little bit more time in that avenue. But we'll see. We'll keep talking about it internally now that we know that we have actual support for it.
Yeah.
We can put more consideration and more thought into it.
Tom, if you stayed, I'm going to do our monthly update, but there's some items I'd like you to touch on.
Well, there is one last thing,
Yes.
just a point I think I'd like to convey, and there's been a lot of talk about transparency and having sitting here. I would think every committee here would say that there's been a lack of commitment from business owners and members to get involved. So it sounds like you have two willing parties, you just need to figure out how to put them together.
Engagement's a two-way street.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, you
So
learn
it's
that account
easy.
pretty quickly.
It's easy to sit back and be cognizant and say, nobody told me, but if you don't engage, you're not gonna get that message regardless, so that's all.
Absolutely.
It's
And
definitely,
this was one of the reasons why I put out the information regarding the solar panel ordinance to begin with, was that I could get people engaged. I don't just want to bring this up. I know it's for redevelopment ready, but residents and business owners do have a right to be heard on this. And when we do more ordinance and zoning changes in the future, they also deserve to be heard on that as well.
Yep.
So it is something that we do want to see, but you're right, it is a two-way street. And I'm practically begging people now. When we were doing the report a few months ago, I was begging people to fill out the survey. They wouldn't do it. So I do want to see more. I do want to see more residents and business owners get involved. But I can only get on my hands and knees for so long. I can only beg for so
Well,
long.
another thing is, we thought about doing like a focus group, inviting maybe a percentage of the residents for a focus group to discuss how they would like to be communicated to.
That is something we can definitely look into, and we would like to. Being a part of Main Street America is having that type of focus group town hall meeting,
Yeah.
and that is something we will be planning for this year.
Because
that's
that's a
something-
great way to get from them, what do they want?
Yeah. Yep. And that's another thing that's been the most difficult is communicating with the business owners and the property owners. Is some people use email, some people use Facebook, some people are more traditional where they just call on the phone. So it's been difficult trying to find a line of communication. And part of my report will talk about how we've created a new relationship with Oakland Thrive, which is a fantastic partner.
Yeah, they
And-
are. They came to my school last
they?
week,
Great,
and they are so excited.
they are.
And
They're
I mean,
fired
that
up.
just made me excited.
Yeah. We've had them, we've hosted a couple events with them here, and we are going to be working with them moving forward.
Good.
They were out last week, walking the street, handing out flyers for the State of the City address for last night. They're a great partner,
Yeah.
and we're so lucky to have them. And the chamber as well.
Yeah, and I think, and I know it's a lot of work, but even with communication, walking up and down the neighborhoods and handing out flyers and talking to people about what's going on.
Absolutely. So I'll go over our the monthly report briefly. Tomorrow there is a Arbor Day event we're having here at City Hall. We are doing it in coordination with the Tree Committee and with Parks and Rec. It's going to be an educational seminar on tree preservation and maintenance, and part of the ceremony will be actually planting a new tree here on City Hall grounds. We ask everyone to attend. It starts at 11 a.m. out at the pavilion. Because of tomorrow's busy schedule here at City Hall, anybody who's attending the Arbor Day event should park at Old Annie Lathrup High School in the parking lot there. We also have a succession planning training following April 30th here in the community room with the Tri-City Partnership. So Oak Park and Southfield, their business communities are being invited, and we're going to have a financial advisor to talk on the personal side as a business owner, and then a financial advisor talk about succession planning for businesses. Because there's the forward-looking, so what happens with a business after the business owner retires, or if unfortunately something happens to them, that business can continue going and those employees can continue relying on a stable employment. We also have Oak Park hosting a business resource training on May 28th. There will be a morning business mixer in Southfield in July. The date is still being determined. We have the 3rd annual Lathrup Village Music Festival on September 13th here at Municipal Park at 1 o'clock, with the rain date being September 14th, that following day. And then there'll be a seminar on how to boost your holiday sales on September 17th in Oak Park from 8:30 to 10:30. I attended that one last year and it was very informative, especially for businesses who are looking to get more online. So please come on out. We have 3 business permits that have been given out. One for 26600 Southfield Road, which will be the flagship store for Holbrook Auto Parts. They have begun the exterior facade improvements. At 27310 Southfield Road, so just to the south of us, there's a nail salon and beauty salon moving in. The interior build out is underway. And at 28250 Southfield Road, there's been window replacements. So there have been replacements and improvements on the private side, and on the public side, we have the ongoing installation of the high-intensity activated crosswalk signals, the HAWK signals. They should be underway working soon, and that will hopefully improve the pedestrian walkability through our downtown.
This one looks done down there, I mean,
Yep.
Oh, they're
the
installed.
lights are just turned and,
Yeah. Yeah, we met actually with the county a couple weeks ago. We met with some of their maintenance folks for like our biannual meeting. That was our main question for them is, hey, when are you gonna energize them?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, those folks were not the right representatives to talk to, so we're still waiting to hear back, but
Yeah.
hopefully within the next month, but.
Okay.
And then also, we have the segments of our alleyways being updated this year have begun. We had there was some overgrowth that had been cleared out, so now it's ready to go. And if the schedule for them permits it, because we bid it out this year and next year's, we might be able to have the complete multi-year alleyway improvement project completed this year. To have FY26 portion to be done, but fingers crossed, we'll see how that goes. Regarding small business support, back to Oakland Thrive, they have their own workshops, seminars, and they also have resources. So if the business is hurting with HR or their budgeting and finance, they have resources to help them. So, and our representative for this segment of the county, she is a Lathrup Village resident, and she's a big fan of the DDA, so she wants to help our businesses. So we have their cards, so when businesses have been reaching out, we've been giving them their contact. Actually, I have a meeting later early next week with a local business in connection with the Economic Development Department at the county level. So we are working with the different resources we have at our fingertips and helping the businesses get pointed in the right direction to get those resources that we can't provide, but we know they're only a fingertip away. Community fundraiser, Tom, you want to take over the?
Sure. So at the start of March, the DDA formally partnered with the St. Baldrick's Foundation. Bruce, I know you were at the city council meeting in early March when we talked about it, but basically this organization is based out of California, and for the last 25 years, they have been funding over $350 million worth of research grants and supplies for cancer research all around the world. They have been a phenomenal organization to work with and to partner with. They've made a streamlined, organized effort for us. And right now we're doing an event for a Shave the Intern campaign. As is being cited, the highest supporting donor will get to shave the intern bald. Right now the dollar amount to beat is $100. There is a resident who has made that mark. We have so far between between all the donation sources that we've had, we've reached just about over $600 worth of donations, but our goal was 5,000. So we still got about a week and a half. The shave date is Tuesday, May 5th. It's going to be here at noon, and I invite everyone to come by and be present. If you want to get shaved as well, you absolutely can. Okay. I thought I would offer, Pam. But it's if you or anyone you know wants to get involved in any way with it, there are links to donate. I can provide those links via email for anyone. Or if you want to join me in the chair, make sure that I'm not the only one walking away without any hair out of all this. You absolutely can. Just let me know, and I can get you the documentation to get you joined in. So.
This is, that was $1 million for the beard, right?
$1 million bounty for the beard, yes. I really, really, really wanted to get some of the more affluent members of the community out, try to challenge them, right? My lure did not work, unfortunately. I think people just want to see me keep the beard, honestly. I think it's just too good of a commodity on me, so.
And this is all Tom's idea, so it's not something I had him volunteer for.
I will say though, you have been quite a sport, because Austin did mention that for the first person to donate $1,000, he will join me in the chair.
Yep, I will.
So
if somebody wants to put $1,000
What are you
up,
gonna shave?
His head, I guess.
take it all off.
Okay.
And then Tom went over the business map locator already, so that's all we have for the month, Pam.
All right. Would anybody care to motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We are out of here. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.